All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
I
Had any crazy stories about? Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Looking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys,
News
but
you.
all right, guys. So another episode of Beyond the Headlines here at the EP Podcast with Arthur Hannick. We're gonna be going over the obvious and clear thing that's all over the news is Charlie Kirk's assassination. So we'll be diving into that as best as we can. And of course, if we miss any information or have anything not completely accurate, just let us know. We're happy to pivot anywhere we need to. So, Arthur, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great. What's your favorite color?
I had a feeling you were going to come with something different. So, for those that don't understand that, in the last recording, I think it was episode 83, this is episode 84. I had told Arthur he needs to start asking me something differently. So, I guess he's coming back with that. But in your defense, I do always ask you the same thing. So, Yeah, no, favorite color?
Black.
Black, because it's the queen of all colors, or so I read in the magazine forever ago.
Or it's
But
the
yeah,
combination of all the colors.
there you go. So okay, yeah. So I mean, I would say black. I mean, for those that personally know me, I dress very repetitive. Like I buy these shirts in like 6 different colorways, so I never have to think too much about what I'm gonna wear. I try to keep it simple. So yeah, Arthur, it's clear that's a lot going on with the whole Charlie Kirk situation. The internet is all over the place with it, and we just kind of want to brief what happened and then kind of dive into those specifics, right?
Okay.
All right, guys. But before you do that, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on that notification bell for many more episodes to come. Visit EP Podcast Store to check out our merch. And yeah, just keep watching the stuff and comment. Let us know what you think. I'm happy to read all of it. All right. So, Arthur, on September 10, conservative political figure Charlie Kirk, age 31, was fatally shot while speaking on stage at Utah Valley University. The shooting occurred during a Turning Point USA event. So I guess we could start with what were you doing when this happened? Because I imagine you probably first heard it through me.
Yes.
Okay, so what were you doing when this happened?
working.
Working? Yeah, because the reason I asked that is because when events like this happen, people tend to recollect, oh, what happened? Like what was in the middle of, when these news broke out. Like I remember when the Utah shooting of Trump happened, I was at Oyster House with my friend Brian having a drink, and then all of a sudden, all the TVs turned into that. So you were working. Were you at the beach or were you here?
I believe it was in the northern part of the state, North Wilmington.
Yeah.
But I find that interesting that you knew exactly where you were for this event as well as the Trump shooting,
Mhm.
and you consider them so important that you know exactly where you were.
Okay.
I mean, I don't feel like this is that type of earth-shattering
Mhm.
news like JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King, 9/11. Those are the big ones that
Yeah.
everyone knows exactly where they were.
No.
I don't
yeah.
think you're going to be able to go up to everyone and ask, where were you when
Yeah.
Kirk was shot? I don't think that's
Well,
going to...
JFK and MLK was a long time ago. So I think the first thing to that is one, I wasn't around at that time. And two, I feel like that's something that's getting compared to a lot with this whole situation. Like, when was the last time we had something like massive like this? I think massive, it also depends on who you ask. And that could be age, political associations, or preference. So I think it just depends on who the audience is. So me particular, I always knew about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA because I wanted to attend one event in DC just to see what goes on in there. But like anybody else, I did agree with all his points. But I'm also never in the department of let's kill somebody because I don't like what they said. So yeah, no, I was at home when it broke out, and then I immediately started tweeting about it, whatever the case. And then literally, I think it was from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I was getting like phone calls left and right about it, and messages even more. But with that being said, like we are kind of in this space, so I guess we're at the point now where people reach out to us when something breaks out to get our opinion or our immediate reactions like that. But yeah, no, I think if you were to ask somebody like anywhere like 40 or 50 years old, they'll probably say something like, who's Charlie Kirk? Especially if they're not really politically as informed or connected. So no, it's a relevant point. It's a relevant point. Yeah. So it happened at UVU. So the initial reports suggested the shot came from a rooftop near the UVU Career Development Center. Emergency services responded immediately. Per Kirk died on the scene. So if you could just pull up that X post, please, we could see that right there. And then we actually posted about it. What's it called when this all broke out? So go ahead and pull that up. This is the wrong date. This is the wrong date. Yeah. Yeah. So while she pulls that up, yeah. So when it came out, immediately, videos started surfacing around, like trying to connect, just how the Trump situation happened. Everybody was immediately trying to figure out, was it somebody in the crowd? Was it somebody in like a shooting point or something like that? And so that immediately happened. So if we take a look here at our tweet on September 10th around 6:31 p.m., if you take a look here, you can see that. Let's click on the first one. Yeah, just click on it and we can scroll through. Click on it.
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that.
So that's the
Oh, there's
Career
somebody on the
Development
roof
Center
right
right there.
This fan? Huh. He just ran from over. Where's my finger? From over there.
Does it
ran in.
pause it real quick?
And I was
Does this mode not work with the nested version? Okay, then we're. Oh, okay. So we are popped up. Sorry, I don't know why I expected to see you guys there. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, you could, if you want to just hover over that little nudge on the rooftop, you can see that someone is laid out right down in there. And then if you go to the next, scroll to the right. No, just go right. You can see the reaction right there. And then on the top of the screen, that's the same rooftop from a different angle. And that's when that happened. Right afterwards. And then go right. And they're saying this was the setup. So around 200 feet, you can see the beginning point of the rooftop going into where Charlie was shot. We're obviously not going to show the video because it's been around enough and we don't need to be pulling up that kind of stuff here. But yeah, so Arthur's reaction to that. Do you think, obviously a bunch of information came out since, but now that we have this kind of initial reaction from the media and the public, I mean, what is your immediate reaction to that before we dive into any more details?
Well, first and foremost, gun violence is never the answer to anything. So whether you agree with him or disagree with him, I would hope everyone can agree with what happened was a tragedy and should never have happened.
Yeah. You would think that's what makes the most sense, right? It's like we're because then that's when like things like, because if you can have some sort of discord or disagreement, that's typically like when you have war to some extent. That's when you play with that. No, don't you think that's kind of put in the risk online? Doesn't that kill the whole point of freedom of speech? Like being able to disagree with somebody without having to worry that, I might get shot in the head or like something like that. No?
Well, there's the question. First Amendment's freedom of speech, Second Amendment's right to bear arms.
Right.
So are you saying that the Second Amendment is hurting the First Amendment?
I think shooting somebody is not a form of free speech. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm in the department of when guns are in the equation. Yes, the likelihood is more probable of an equation of a gun happening in an event. But I'm also in the department of guns don't kill people, people kill people. For the same reason. I mean, I've heard the example of it's like, it's not necessarily cars that kill people, it's because of the person driving it that someone died. Right. Because due to their lack of like being able to handle it responsibly. So I don't think it's necessarily, but that's kind of what my thought is behind that. So in terms of guns, right? So your point is do not it's no one should ever be killed over just expressing political views, right? So in terms of guns, a high-powered .30 caliber hunting rifle was later found in a wooded area nearby along with unspent and engraved ammunition rounds. Now, there were initial reportings by the ATF, which is I have it right here, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, saying that there was, anti fascist and transgender engravings on the ammunition. But then the Justice Department came out and said that's not probably taken into the best accurate context, but they did find "Hey Fascist" engraved on some of the ammunition along with other symbols, but no direct indication of any specific transgender or anything like that. So that seems to be like the ongoing thing, right? Just engraving your ammunition. Like I think it was something similar like that with the Trump situation. Like, do you think that there's a political kind of thread here where I guess the conservative crowd maybe needs to be concerned that there's like a direct threat here?
Well, it sounds like a conservative killed a conservative.
Yeah, okay. And we'll dive into that more because his family is Republican, but he was registered nonpartisan in Utah. So we'll definitely dive into that a little bit more. But that's one of the arguments that going around saying it's like, oh, this is a direct attack on the right or the conservatives or whatever the case is. So after that, manhunt was underway for several days until Friday, where Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old, turned himself into the authorities. His surrender reportedly followed after his father, Matt Robinson, was shown the FBI release images by Tyler's uncle, Clinton Robinson, and urged his son to come over. We'll pull up the shot here of Tyler Robinson. Oh, I didn't realize it was that tiny. Yeah, so that's Tyler Robinson there for you. I remember here's when the Utah governor was coming out and he turned himself and he had said, I was really hoping it wasn't one of us. In terms of like skin, I don't know if he was referring to skin color or political affiliation.
Utonian.
Utonian? Okay.
Someone from the state.
Right, because he was hoping that he could just say it's like you can't come into our home and do something like that and follow with that. So that it was let's talk into that. Let's talk into that. So Tyler Robinson, the Robinson family, we have a picture of the family a little more down. If you could just take a look. Yeah, let's pull that up. They were like your typical, American family that, would go to church together. They did activities together. Now, Tyler and his dad, Matt, I believe, would go hunting together and they did have hunting licenses. So that was in place, but they attended church together and Tyler was constantly involved with church as he was getting older. But obviously that kind of fell off a little bit as he got older. So, what are your thoughts on these details?
I just don't understand how somebody can turn so quickly like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's still the argument for other countries have gun control and they still go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So why is there a disconnect with the United States and other countries where
Mhm.
people still can have firearms and still use them for appropriate reasons, but guns aren't all over the place and they don't have anywhere near as many gun deaths as
Yeah.
we do?
But I mean, but that's the thing, right? So if the guns aren't the problem, then it's the people. Then I would, if we had to do a process of elimination here. So that's what I was wondering. Like, what went wrong here? Like, let's see here. Go to the even his mom had posted a video of him getting a presidential scholarship into UVU. So the kid was academically there. Like, here's the video. Let's take a look at it really quick.
Congratulations, you have to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
Like, he seems like he's the average kid with a raised family. So I'm not necessarily sure what could have gone wrong here. So some details specifically into that was that he did leave after one semester at UVU, right? And then after that,
So he was given a scholarship.
he was
to
given
the
a
same
scholarship.
school
He
with him.
attended for one semester, and then it sounds like he dropped out and then moved into Dixie Technical College, where officials said he was his third year of study in the electrical apprenticeship program. He was, I believe, an electrical engineer. So, he had recently come into politics in recent years after that, but apparently his whole reasoning behind doing it was because he felt like Kirk, all he would do was spread hate speech, and he was just essentially what they're calling fascist. So I don't know. I just think it's odd. I don't know what it's like. It reminds me a little bit of the what's his, what was his name again? The guy who killed Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed the United Healthcare CEO. The kid was academically gifted. I believe he was. What do you call it when you graduate top of class in college or high school? What do they call it again?
Summa cum laude or something.
Valedictorian.
Yes, he was valedictorian for his year, and he was in great shape. He was doing great academically. I think he had some injury, and then all of a sudden he disappears. And then the next time you hear about him, he's shooting dead the United Healthcare CEO. So I'm seeing like similar traits here. And even if we think about the Trump shooting, when I forget what the Trump shooter's name was, but also a young kid, Like, so what's going on here? Because we're seeing similar traits here, but I don't know what necessarily is influencing this. What do you think?
Well, first, if you start looking up things that Charlie Kirk said,
Mm-hmm.
he had opinions on all of the divisive topics.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
To the point that a lot of his opinions weren't based on fact.
Yeah. There was some. Yep. There has been videos where he essentially gets checked. Yeah.
And he's the one that started I believe he was the one that started the eating the pets in Ohio.
Eating the pets in Ohio. As in, what you say starting? What do you mean?
He's the one that started that rumor that
He started the rumor. He spread the rumor.
I don't.
Yeah, I think that's something that came out and then people just ran with it.
I thought he was the one that
I could be wrong.
that-
I could be wrong.
started that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said it, so then Trump repeated it, saying, well, I got this from one of my sources, because
Yeah.
a lot of things Kirk said, Trump would use and say, this was one of my sources.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Charlie, a lot of people agreed with him. A lot of people disagree with him. A lot of people were in the middle with him. But I just don't get how this leads to this. I mean, even his 60-year-old neighbor, her name was Kristen Shorman, saying like she was shocked. She didn't know who that kid was because she was so used to like seeing like normally function, family, church, all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden this happens. The only thing I could bring it down to is one thing. It's two things. One, social media. And is that my headphones or is that our headphones? Okay, now we're good. Social media, and two, the rise in mental health. Social media, I say, because a lot of just in general information and misinformation gets spread around, and two, the whole mental health thing is just like a huge problem in this country. I can't think of anything else though. If you had to guess, like what's contributing to these things, what do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the other part of this is there was no strategy after, and that's what you usually see is
Mhm.
that the thought process just goes to the
Yeah.
assassination or attempted assassination, and then there's no plan to flee.
Yeah.
There's no pile of cash going under the radar,
Yeah.
turning off technology, getting out of the country.
Right.
Like, it's not. We have how many movies that show, oh, after you
Right.
assassinate
The whole-
somebody,
yeah.
here's what you have to do.
It's almost as important as the plan itself.
So it's
Yeah.
just the end target is assassinate and then get out of there and
Yeah.
go home.
Yeah, we have a video of that actually. If you don't mind just pulling up on X, our X page. By the way, follow us on X, EP Podcast on X. And if you just go back, yep, and then scroll down, we have a video of him fleeing the scene. Go down. And then click on that. This was at 2 a.m.
continues in
by the
Utah for a
BBC.
gunman who killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a college event on Wednesday. Authorities have released new footage of the suspect in the moments after the shooting. You can see him jumping down from the roof and then heading out into the street. He is carrying a bag. The FBI has also released new images of someone they call a person of interest in their investigation. Earlier, these images were made public. Utah's Public Safety Department says the individual appears to be
necessarily any escape plan. It was just to get the job done and dip, which is, you know, as you said, it doesn't make sense. Typically, when we want to commit these kind of things, you got to think it through and through. Like even as I don't know if you saw it, but like when he jumped down, he hurt his foot. So I don't know. I really don't know. You know, when we had the summit and we had the post summit dinner, I took my he's 14, I think, 14-year-old cousin to join us for dinner, just to see the things that we talk about and all that kind of stuff. And we started chatting with him, and at some point he brought up that his generation is very depressed. It's very depressed. And I was like, well, why? I'm like, what does a 14-year-old kid have to be depressed about or anything like that? Well, I asked him specifically. I was like, well, are you depressed? And he straight up told me, no, I don't. He said, no, I'm not depressed at all. And I think part of that, kind of goes back to the family, to the house. Like, I know his house is very like organized. They do activities together. He goes to a good school. He keeps active with activities, with sports and all that kind of stuff like that. But yet somehow, and the same kid in that generation is saying that there's a lot of kids that are depressed. So I don't really know what this tie backs into. I see that you're doing a lot of researching here. What are you specifically looking for?
There was a recent chart that came out about Gen Z voters and what they thought was important for success.
Okay.
And majority of the people, this is a slightly different one, but it was very high up. It wasn't specifically targeted to men, but it was essentially saying Gen V who voted for Harris had emotional stability as number 3, and having children was all the way down at the very bottom.
Okay. Being grounded spiritually. Yeah, so there's one of the biggest things, I can't say I'm the biggest religious person. I think I've come more close with religion as I've gotten older, is that if you have, because where do principles first come from?
Your family.
The family, right? The household. And if that's absent, you either learn that on your own down the road, if ever, right? The thing I love about religion, it provides you a way of living that is guided by principles, morals, and all that kind of stuff. It's essentially a guide of life. I find that those people that one, don't have that household setting where they can learn these things, or two, follow any form of religion and are essentially spiritually lost, that they tend to go very interesting routes and end up even situations like this. So I don't know. I know we're just, kind of brainstorming at what could go on here, but do you think this is a concern for future generations? Specifically this one, the new one now, generation, what is it? Z? Or no, we have like generation alpha and beta, right? But like, I think the Z one's the next up in terms of getting older, right? So what do you think about that?
Like job market? Like, what do you mean? Everyone's getting older. Like,
yeah, sorry. I mean, more, I guess before we concern about A and B, we need to worry about what's in front of us, which is Z, right?
So you're talking about Z coming of age, finishing college, starting the job market, beginning careers, like,
because look, these
beginning
kids,
adulthood is what you're trying to say.
They're going into a job market that's not favorable for them with AI blowing up. They the average age where people are getting houses now is continuing to go up, and the cost of living is everything's going up for them, and it's even become even more unattainable for them to reach any sort of success after just completing their college career. And even then, college is going up even substantially more now. So what are the concerns here? What do you think?
Well, first of all, priorities have switched. The whole purchase a house idea has completely changed. At one point in time, it was almost 80% of the country of adults owned a home or wanted to, and now the number's below 60%. And some don't ever want to own. They
Mhm.
like the freedom and the flexibility to renting. They don't want the responsibility. And then to top it off, I don't believe the government fixed this, but they took away or the incentive for the having a home, and the interest deduction has gone away. And when they raise the standard of deduction so high, a lot of people don't get the benefit of the mortgage interest rate deduction on their taxes.
Mhm.
So there's not the financial benefit on your tax return to owning a home.
Mm. But I mean, home ownership is just like one of those staples of America, of the American dream. I mean, but I mean,
It was,
regardless,
but other
yeah,
countries, home ownership isn't as high as a priority and they're happier.
yeah.
So, but it's the technology and the isolation. Like everyone hides behind their device. You can say whatever screwed up thing you want in the shadows and do it anonymously. So more hatred comes out of this.
Mhm. I agree 1000%. Everybody's a lot more courageous when it's not one with the light on them, and two, it's behind a computer screen or a phone screen.
I mean, it's just, are you going to go up to someone in person, say, you look fat? Or are you going to go on the computer screen and type it
Yeah,
anonymously saying,
yeah.
so and so looks fat?
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And I think there's a problem with that too, because what you say and what you do has consequences. And I think some people forget that sometimes. And you know, it's interesting, going back into the Charlie Kirk topic here. It's That's what happens. A lot of these kids, that's what he was doing, right? He was trying to provide a place where he could essentially have all the kids come up to him and debate him. Now, I will say this though, it's when that's all you do for a living, hold those kind of events and that kind of stuff and that kind of mission, you're always going to have an edge at a campus, because these students are just trying to have their college career. They're not going to have that advantage of knowing as much as what you do in politics, as they probably would. Like, for example, if you and I got into an argument about accounting, that's an argument I know I'm going to lose, right? So, like, imagine if you went around to every campus and then held accounting debates with personal views on them. Like, it's very likely that you're going to come out ahead most times. Why? Because it's focused, it's a focused topic. And two, you have what they don't have, a ton of experience in it, right?
But that's actually a lot different because accounting, I mean, it's all numbers, it's
Mhm.
all factual.
Right.
He's going out and debating
Mhm.
abstract moral,
Yeah.
political,
Which is
religious,
why I added
personal issues.
which is why I added the angle of what's your personal views on accounting. Like, that's why so if I were to switch that into the Charlie Kirk situation, there's the fact that he got shot and killed. Then there's the opinion side of it of, was it right or was it wrong? Because it's very heavily like opinionated whether it was right or whether it was wrong or whether he had it coming to him. So that's what I mean by that, right? Anytime you add a personal view or anything like that to it, you always step into that fine line of what's factual and what's just your personal view on it. Because you just can't argue against people's personal views sometimes, because they're just dying on that hill. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, there's saying that someone had it coming to them. Like no one has it coming to them to be murdered. Like
Yeah.
that's not in the Constitution. That's not in the Declaration of Independence. And one day you will be murdered is not one of the freedoms.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like I saw two sides of this with the public reaction. It was that one on the one extremes. Well, the one extreme side was sometimes to make a point, you gotta do some extreme examples. Sometimes one extreme was that he died a martyr. You know, he died doing what he believed in, and he was willing to go to like die on that hill essentially. And then the other side of it is he died because he was a fascist, and he would belittle, you know, whether it be a certain race or a certain religion or a certain gender for X, Y, Z, and the other. There's both sides of it, but I think the first and foremost thing is that, you know, this guy was a son, a husband, a father. What I heard was that when his family was present, by the way.
Correct.
I heard that when the shot happened, his daughter had tried to run up to him because he was scared. I mean, because she was scared. Because she was scared. Imagine that. It's like all of a sudden we forget that aspect of the things simply because of a view. I think that's when we really get into like we lose our moral compass there. When we forget the first and foremost thing that we're all you know, skin, blood, and bones, right? It's just I think that's the biggest problem I had with all this because I was seeing there's like no, I'm gonna celebrate Charlie Kirk dying, and we have videos of it too. Look at go to Insights and go to We Shot Charlie in the Neck. These were the things that were coming out. Look at this. This was this one TikToker.
We got Charlie. We got Charlie in the neck. Who's up next? We got Charlie in the neck. We got Charlie in the neck.
So,
we got Charlie in the neck.
Thoughts on this angle to it?
Well, this is also TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't a lot of TikTok just for entertainment?
Yeah.
People do outlandish things to get followed.
It's no different than Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
X, and all that kind of stuff like that.
I don't put a whole lot of merit into a video like that coming out because it's somebody trying to get attention. But at the same
I promise you that I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your thought, but I promise you that there's a lot more where that came from too. Go ahead. Sorry, please.
Because everyone's trying to jump on that attention train.
So you're saying that people are behaving that way because they're trying to get attention more than really saying that he deserved it.
I would like to believe that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're giving them the okay.
You're living in a country that people can go around celebrating someone's death.
I would like not to, but I also don't want to be blind to that it can be a possibility. I think where there's good, there's also evil.
But also, you also have to keep in mind, you know, the way Kirk made his money and his living.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said the most outlandish shit to get people's attention. I don't know if he really believed it or not, but the more he made shit up, the more money he would make.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you think Charlie Kirk was a net positive or a net negative to society? Just based on what you know, because I know
based on what I know, which is limited, but after reading his wiki page and all the shit he said, I mean, unfortunately, if it comes down to, is the world a slightly better place without somebody spreading all of this? Unfortunately, it is.
Wow. Hot take. Oh, man. Okay, breaking news.
But right here, I'm on his page, and what should be on his tombstone is coming from his own mouth. I think it's worth it. This is on gun rights. I think it's worth it.
Hold that thought. I know. Yeah, I have that video.
Okay.
Okay, so I know exactly. No. Before you pull, actually pull that up. Yeah, play it. Go ahead. This is exactly what you're about to quote.
I think it's have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
So let's talk about that.
So he just got his wish.
Now, let's watch this. Before we dive into it further, I wanna get your thoughts on the Don Lemon Street interview. You remember Don Lemon? He got fired from CNN. I forget for exactly. You'll recognize him when you see him. So go ahead, click on that, and then we'll dive into that further.
Do you know Charlie?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think of what happened to him?
You know, sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold. I hate to celebrate someone's death, but when you talk about guns rights and you talk about how much the Second Amendment matters to you and then it impacts you, like, what do you expect, you know? Sympathies to his family, but this is why we need gun control.
One of my friends said on social media, he died in a world that he wanted.
Yeah, he said it himself, right? There's a whole quote that's been floating around about, like, sacrifices were made for the Second Amendment to still exist, or something along those lines, right? It's an ad-lib, but yeah, this is what happens. You reap what you sow, and, you know, it's sad that someone died, but also, hey, you know?
What do you say to people who might say that you're unsympathetic and you need to be more human about it?
I don't know, reread slavery, rewatch Roots. There are so many different eras of American history and in America where worse things have happened to people. You know, and we've turned a blind eye. You want us to erase the Confederacy, you want us to erase all these different things, but why should I have more sympathy for something that you don't know pain, really? This is the worst thing you could think of. You don't understand what other people have gone through.
Do you think that this will make a difference with getting...
So let's talk about it, because, you know, it was good timing. You brought it up, and then there was content to that.
There's what?
30 to 40,000 gun deaths in the United States each year.
Mm-hmm.
We can't sit and discuss all of them. So why is this one more important than the other tens of thousands?
I don't think it's whether or not it was more important. I think he was just a public figure. It's like, just like if any celebrity dies, it'll get like a notable amount of attention depending on how famous they were. In the political space, Charlie was one of the most well-known political figures. He actually had a big influence on the whole Trump run. Like like people my age, he influenced a lot of people. Like for like my age range, anywhere from like 18 to like 20, like 30. Say that. But
By spreading misinformation and lies.
Now, here's the thing. I don't have a count of how much of what he said is accurate and how much of what he said was not accurate. But I do know that he said some things that are not necessarily accurate. But I also know that there's the other side to it, right? But I think regardless, to belittle someone's death like this, I get the whole topic of, you know, he died, you know, essentially in the world he wanted to live in. But doesn't that essentially make him a martyr?
To an extent.
So I looked it up, right? So a martyr, it says here, is a person who is killed because of their religious or other beliefs. So essentially his belief was that
But we don't know what the rationale was for killing him yet.
No, but here's the thing. Okay, so why do you think he got killed? Let's say that we had to draw an assumption to why he was killed.
We're assuming it's based on his beliefs, but we don't. This could just be that the shooter was trying to get his own attention by taking out someone.
But okay, sure. There's always an argument to be made on possibilities,
because that's why Reagan got shot. Because the gunman was just trying to shoot the president, and actually he was trying to shoot the prior president, but wasn't able to get that into play fast enough. So when Reagan became president, then his target switched to the current president.
Okay, so you're saying it's okay. Then I'll ask you the straightforward question: do you think it was more probable that the reason that he killed him, based on the information we have at hand, that he did it just to get some sort of fame over disagreeing with his political beliefs?
I'm not sure, because the people that know him are saying that there's this newfound interest in politics.
So was it a newfound interest in politics, or was it?
I mean, I don't think at this point that's not politics. I mean, it's political, like it's political. What's the word they call it? Political. It's essentially political crime, right? But it's like,
But
on the ammunition, it said, "Hey, fascist."
But the police are already saying they can't go with anything on ammunition. That a lot of times,
No, it was the transgender specific thing. But like the "Hey, fascist," that was one reported by the ATF and also confirmed by the governor of the state. And I believe when the what's it called, the Justice Department, they came out, it was in particular about the transgender thing, not the "Hey, fascist."
No, it was about all the writing on the bullets the government discounts.
But the "Hey, fascist" checks out. I mean, that's what it was written. The intention behind the saying, I mean, we don't know that, but that's what was written. "Hey, fascist." Now,
but the authorities have said that they don't put a lot of merit on anything written on any bullets, because a lot of times
it's just been the tried to confuse and mislead.
Sure, but saying "Hey, fascist" on an ammunition clip to a bullet that's aimed towards someone that's a conservative, that's coming to these campuses to speak on his conservative views, do you not think it's more likely that he killed them because he just simply didn't like what his views were over him just trying to get some fame?
Based on what the authorities say
about the writing on the bullet, they answer no. But I mean, they already discounted that, and you're basing your whole argument on something that they're saying you can't use.
So it's not discounted. It's just not completely on the table. It's not completely on the table. So, and they essentially said take it with a grain of salt. They didn't say it just entirely didn't happen. So, I mean, we could look it up or something, but the "Hey, fascist" was there. And come on, man. I mean, we can only be blind to things so much. I'm not saying we don't know what we don't know, but that's always going to be the case. But that doesn't mean that we're also blind and stupid.
It's right there with when kids release 3 pigs in the school numbered 1, 2, and 4. You're trying to get people to think that there are actually 4 pigs released and there was only 3.
Arthur, so you're saying that
So you're putting your
based on the
argument-
definition of martyr, you're saying he didn't die a martyr?
We don't have enough facts yet.
Wow. Okay. All right. First, Charlie Kirk is net negative to society, and now he didn't die for his beliefs. We don't know that, but that's your current stance. Okay. So going from that, where did we leave off? So he died for what he said. Essentially, he died saying what he believed in, right? Which was, the cost of the Second Amendment is some lives. Having the Second Amendment is some lives, unfortunately, due to all the gun that's accessible in this country, right? But what now? What now? Let's narrow it down. The truth of it, is any of this okay?
Any of shooting somebody? No.
No. Okay. Shooting somebody. Okay. To this extent, having some sort of violent actions over someone over just being in politics or any view or any expression like that at all.
No.
Okay. So why does this continue happening?
I have no idea. Everyone condemns gun violence, but then when it goes to the elected officials to do something about, they all get very quiet.
So, okay, if you had control of all of this, would you do, if the country would, like, no guns at all?
I would go since these senators get this budget to go fly overseas and see how other countries do things, why are they not looking how other countries handle guns? There are countries that
can't remember. There's one country
It is
that
the
has
UK, no?
no, it's
I mean,
outside the UK, but there is a country that there's more gun ownership per capita
mhm.
than the United States, and the number of gun deaths are less than 1% of the United States. So
Say that one more time, please.
Can you try to look up the country that has the highest gun per capita
Okay,
with the
so
lowest? But there's a
highest gun ownership per capita?
yeah.
Okay, so let's see this here. Go to, let's see, what would it be? Let's go to Reuters.
Or do
No?
highest gun ownership per capita with least gun deaths.
Go ahead. Countries with the most guns, and then let's see where we go from there. Let's see if they have like a chart or something. Go down, go down, go down. Keep going down until you find some sort of chart. What is this? Is these just oh, they're showing the pages with the countries. Just go back and do chart.
But in any case, you can have gun ownership and without the deaths. Why can't we figure out how to do that here?
Did
Other
you not
countries
just have a table there?
We
Sorry.
have it.
You just had a table there. It pulled one up for you. Go down. Okay. Here's a breakdown of the top countries with the gun ownership per capita. The U.S., Falkland Islands. Where even is that? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but when you start doing per capita, that changes the whole thing.
What do you mean?
Like,
I know the definition of per capita is just like per person. For every 100 people, there's that much ownership of guns.
yeah, like Iceland wins everything per capita.
But they're also small.
Correct. That's why they win everything when they say per capita.
Yeah, so what do we try to find out here?
I can't remember the name of the country, but there is a country that has a very high gun ownership with very few deaths.
Okay, country with the highest gun ownership per capita with the lowest death.
Well, get rid of per capita.
Okay. With lowest death. Get rid of chart. What country has highest gun ownership with lowest death? There you go. All right. Okay, so
it might be Switzerland.
Okay, so right there. Small Arms Survey reported that in 2017, Switzerland had 27.6 civilian firearms per 100 people. Some estimated, low gun-related deaths. Switzerland's gun homicide rate is extremely low at about 0.2 per 100,000 inhabitants in 2019. So that's good.
Right.
So
how can they do that? Why can't we?
Well, I think the first thing to address is the obvious. Switzerland has some of the most affluent people in the world. Right?
So does the United States.
But I'm saying, like, in terms of, like, maybe income or, like, lifestyle like that. Because here's the thing, right? I find that these issues happen with people that are either lower income, lower education, maybe not the best health. I feel like that's not as much of an issue in places like Switzerland or countries where...
What just happened here? What just happened here?
Here as in the situation?
Yeah.
Okay, what about it?
You just said lower income. That doesn't seem to be the case.
Okay.
Not educated.
He was educated. Yeah.
Like, so everything you just said
so then what,
contradicts what just happened.
So then, okay, contradict, that's fine. I'll take it. But then what is?
Don't know.
If money's not the problem, his upbringing is not the problem, if education is not the problem, if religion is not the problem, what does that leave? I honestly think it's social media, dude. I think it's social media for the reasons that you said.
So now you want to limit social media? You want to become like China and censor the internet?
Well, I don't know about censoring, but I can't. I don't know what else I can draw it down to. I don't know what else I could draw it down to. Guys, what do you think? If in this particular situation, right? Tyler had a decent upbringing, had a good relationship with his parents from what it seems from the outside, was well educated, had things going on for him. what do you think is the problem that's contributing to these essentially overnight drastic changes and that lead people to do these kind of actions? What do you think it is? Because I, other than social media, I don't think I don't know what else that I can blame it on, or not blame, but like think it could play a factor because, as you said, right, there's a ton of technology in my generation, which is no different from Gen Z. But Gen Z now has an insane social factor. They're the most connected, but the least, I don't know, if ironically enough, the least social.
Right.
So I don't know. I really don't know if that's the case because at the same time, there is the highest mental health problems in the country that it's ever been. Those statistics are skyrocketing. I think I saw it somewhere that for the first time, the U.S. has more overweight people than underweight people in all time. So I don't know what exactly is contributing to it, other than maybe then like a full combination of things. Because you're right. That shouldn't have happened. Even
When
the
you,
neighbors said, I don't know what happened.
well, now you're starting to touch on other issues. So there's the mental health issue. Then there's the obesity. But then that's coming back to the poisons we're putting in our body. That right there. How much crap's in that?
Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so we have let's see. I don't even know. I feel like
Everything you can't pronounce.
yeah, okay, that's what I was looking for. This potassium benzoate, cyanocobalamin, N-acetyl L-tyrosine. I don't know. It's just a bunch of stuff. But yeah, no, you're right. There's a ton of crap that goes into our food that doesn't necessarily need to go to just to preserve shelf life.
Correct. And you go to other countries, they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have bread, it's baked fresh.
Yeah.
There's no going
and getting bread wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
You're going to a bakery and it's going to be baked that morning.
Yeah.
Or you're going to bake it at home. So then it's just the basic
ingredients. It doesn't have any of these stabilizers, doesn't have all this artificial stuff. And maybe after all these years, that's the real issue is that, is mental health related to the food we're eating? Is that garbage staying in our bodies and clogging arteries or blood flow or neurons or connections and screwing us up?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a valid question. It's a valid question because in theory, we have the best of the best in the world. From pretty much anything from supposedly from education to lifestyle to income opportunities, just geographical graphical advantages in comparison to other countries, which is why people come to us, which is why there's the American dream, not the extreme anywhere else. So I don't know, man. I really wonder because I feel like we're building up a study here. These things, this has all happened this year, has it not? When did the Mangione incident happen? That happened this year, no? Luigi Mangione, like the way he killed the healthcare? No, because that was last year.
Last year.
I think in the past 12 months. No, I think would that be so? December 4, 2024 was Mangione. When was the Trump incident?
Well, Trump was before the election, so October of 2024.
Yeah. So December, October. That was what is this? In Pennsylvania. That was July. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a very specific problem that's happening. Similar age ranges. So the Trump was he was a white kid. The one that just happened was also a white kid. Then there's also like what's going on? I don't know. There's seriously, guys. What do you think is going on? Let us know. What do you think is contributing to all these problems? That is causing people to say, "All right, enough is enough. I'm gonna pull up a gun, go on a rooftop, and get rid of you." So, his wife has spoke out. essentially thanking everybody for all their service in that time, for all the messages, addressing people like JD Vance, Trump, the communities, the security that day. Even JD Vance carried him out into Air Force too. We have that video pulled up too, if you don't mind pulling it up, please. Uh-oh. Go ahead, download it. It might already be.
That sounds like a political stunt.
They had a personal relationship. JD Vance was very, very loved by the conservative community. He was very loved by the conservative community. So he definitely had an influence on many. It's already downloaded. You could just.
But it's not going to show in Chrome. I need it to show in Chrome.
Okay. Then just go to YouTube and look up JD Vance carries. Yeah, first one right there. Go to history. Go to history. Nope. Go to history. Just go to history. There you go. Because the one I downloaded was very specific. Because it's a 34-minute video and I found a 2-minute one.
It's 2 minutes.
That's the one I downloaded. Full screen it. Yeah, so this is JD Vance coming out of Air Force 2. Let's check.
You can fast forward. You can do a 1+ shot.
So we used Air Force 2.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll dive into that too. Valid point.
Let's make sure Vance gets the bit for this.
Okay, so this one in particular was not showing. Okay, this is not the one I don't. All right, but anyways, the video is out there. So, all right, so you brought up an interesting question. What was it?
The use of Air Force 2.
What was your particular question of Air Force 2? Of this situation? Repeat the question again.
Where we started was, I was going to go with, when's the last time a vice president or president has carried a casket while in office?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not something that typically happens.
But no, you asked a
And
very
now,
specific question.
Seeing that he's being flown on Air Force 2, who's footing that bill?
Okay. Good question. Are you saying that should have happened if it came down to the American taxpayer dollar?
The American taxpayers should not be paying for this transportation.
So you're saying it should become essentially directly out of Trump's pocket for the costs involved.
Trump or JD's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, interesting question. Well, first, let us know where will this expense from, and two, whether or not it should be coming out of the American taxpayer dollar, because, I think you're leaning towards no, it shouldn't be, right?
There's nothing normal that's been with this.
Yeah.
When's the last time the president sat down and publicly announced, we got the shooter? Never.
We got the shooter. I mean, I think of Obama announcing when they got Osama bin Laden. I get it.
A little bit different.
It is different. Yeah.
That was a political. That was going after an enemy.
Terroristic is both foreign and domestic.
But a civilian was shot, and Trump took a personal interest. We've seen Trump more over this than the past couple of weeks.
So, Charlie Kirk was a political public figure, right? And essentially, we're supposed to handle matters of terrorism, both foreign and domestic, with the same level of seriousness, right? Terrorism is terrorism, yes?
What's the full definition of terrorism?
Let's look it up. Full definition of terrorism. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims.
So we're calling this a terrorist attack.
No, I'm asking you. So I'm breaking it down, right? He was a political public figure. He was a political public figure, and he was assassinated. Right? And we're supposed to... This is an act of terror. Is it not? Based on the definition alone? He's a civilian. It was against a civilian in the pursuit of political aims. So, if this is an act of terrorism, and this was an American citizen that was unfortunately domestically terrorized, then shouldn't that in theory also be an expense of the government?
Read that definition again.
The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims.
Out of the tens of thousands of gun deaths we have every year, I would be willing to bet there are several more that meet this definition.
Right, but here's the thing: we're
So
not
where do we
saying
draw the
we're
line
not
that it's a
saying
terrorist attack?
anybody's death is more important than the other. But we're no strangers to that. People with a, for lack of a better term, a popular name, get more attention than the average Joe. We know that. That's just how the world has always worked, right? Because people die every day, right? Because the other argument is that in Evergreen, Colorado, on the same day, there was a school shooting. And people are giving a hard time that this got an immense amount of attention over a school shooting with his children, right? That was an argument that was made. So it's a fair question, but it really just comes down to is the name.
I mean, in this country, school shootings happen so often, we don't even report them all anymore.
Yeah.
If it's under 5 kids that's killed, it's not newsworthy.
Well, the only person that died in that specific incident was the shooter himself.
Oh, see, that's why it's back to being not newsworthy, and unfortunately, it happens too frequently.
It really just came down to how I don't want to say notable, but I can't think of any word of a notable figure. Because I know, let's be honest, how much did you know of Charlie Kirk before this incident?
Nothing.
So that's the thing. You don't necessarily know the influence he held in the space. So that's also, I feel like, skewing your sentiment about this whole situation. I will not disagree with you at all in the sense of this has gotten an insane amount of attention.
I mean, it's right there with at the beginning of the year. All they were talking about were the airplane crashes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same statistical number for the same point in previous years. It's just nobody reported on them. But because there was one and it got attention, they did a second and it got attention.
Right.
And then they did a third and a fourth. And next thing you know, we're 3 months in and 4 plane crashes, which is statistically accurate.
So what you're essentially is it's a wave, and people are just riding it.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that itself is not funny, but it's funny you mentioned that because yesterday I actually posted on my Instagram story, and I said this because I've been seeing the crazy divide, because the kind of divide I felt on this specific event was the same divide I felt with the aviation accidents, with the immigration what's it called, arguments and fights over it. This is the same thing. And you start thinking, yeah, this is coming in waves. So what I wrote was that I've been covering politics on the Eeping podcast for nearly 2 years now. If there is one thing I've learned, it is this: you will never satisfy everyone. People will nitpick even if it's a needle in a haystack. You could cover 100 stories on one side and 100 stories on the other, and someone will still find a way to complain because you covered 100.1 on one and 100.0 on the other. Another thing I have seen is that outrage comes in waves. The same people posting today will disappear tomorrow until the next story arrives. Most of it is noise, fleeting, and often misinformed. My stance is simple. You are entitled to your opinion, but once it turns into a personal attack, you have lost the point. At the end of the day, some people build waves and others just wait for them. So that's what I wrote and I posted in my story. It was an overall positive sentiment, but I feel like we have also built a substantial amount of proof in how invested we get into these things that people, unless they're able to bring an even bigger argument, that they choose not to pick debate with us. So, I mean, that is what it comes down to. I think if you knew Charlie Kirk more, you would understand the significance of this event. Just like maybe people, like when you ask them, like some kids today, you say about the JFK assassination or the MLK assassination, all the public notable figures like that when they got assassinated, they probably won't be. I'm sorry, I probably won't be able to tell you the significance of that thing simply because they just didn't know about it. I think the difference between that now is that there's so many different angles and things happening in the world that it's impossible for us to stay in tune with how big of a situation everything is. So I don't know. I think, were you going to say something on that specifically? I saw that you were.
I mean, it was just something else that one of the first things that I found about Kirk
is in 2023, he called for the imprisonment or death penalty of Joe Biden for crimes against America.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's spreading hate.
Yeah.
You're just making shit up. What crimes did Joe commit against America?
Mm-hmm. Well, you also don't know that because you haven't looked into specifically what he said.
I don't believe he goes in the details on that. I think it's just trying to stir up attention.
I think that we just simply didn't know enough about Charlie. Regardless, we're both in agreement that political violence, there's no place for it in this country. This is a country where you should feel free to express your beliefs without having to worry that your life could be gone within a second. Now, we also understand that, unless it incites violence, that's a different story. But I think for the most part, we shouldn't, live in that kind of space. Because honestly, when that happened, I texted you guys. I was like, yo, like this shit shook me up. I'm like, damn, like we express a lot of our opinions on this podcast of what goes on in the world. And some people like it, some people don't. I remember one time I was at a bar I was at the restroom at some bar, and I was at the stall, and somebody, that I didn't know came up to me, was like, "Oh yeah, so you're that guy. You were saying that shit on the podcast." I didn't even know the guy. I thought it was friendly at first, but then as the conversation went, I realized, like, wait a minute, something's off here. It made me consider a lot of things because, I don't want to ever run into that kind of, situation. I don't want to be walking on eggshells. And I texted you guys, I'm like, guys, moving forward, if we ever hold a big event, we're not doing it without some sort of security detail, because that's just scary, man. It's just scary. I think it's a scary day for people, individuals in media, people that are not afraid to express their views, and people that are trying to just, at least in their eyes, trying to do good for the world. So I think it was definitely a scary day for everybody all involved, especially if you were a big follower of Charlie, which I can't say I was, but I was well aware of him. So, Arthur, any closing thoughts on that?
I mean, as I said, there's a lot of misinformation, lies he's spread.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like this is what he was doing to make a living, and that's not an honest living.
So, okay. See, that's
the dude went from making $27,000 a year to over $400,000 a year.
But he's also a public figure, so the more famous you become, the more money that comes with that.
That was through his nonprofit.
Okay.
I kind of have a problem with nonprofits and six-figure salaries.
Okay. But I'm just saying, man, it's just I think there's a lot. I would encourage that you look up the other side of the argument, because it's been very apparent in this conversation that you only read one side of the argument here.
I've read facts.
Okay, no, I'm okay. I'm not taking away from what you said. I don't know that for sure, but just based on everything you have constructed on your opinion, it sounds like you only got one side of the public view of Charlie Kirk.
Share with me the other side.
No, I'm just saying, I would encourage you to take the time to do that, because I've heard both sides, right? Everything that you're saying, but I've also heard the impact he's had on younger adults getting into politics or stuff like. And I know he played a big part in Trump's nomination as for his second run. So, because the big thing in this in last year's campaign was getting more children, not children, but like the younger generation more actively involved in politics, and they won that. They won that for lack of a better term race, and people like Charlie Kirk were a big contributor factor to that. I think that he wasn't a perfect man, but him as a Christian, as a devoted Christian, he would tell you that no man is perfect and only God is. But we're all, what is it that everybody's perfect in God's eyes? Is that what it is? Is that what the saying is? But only God is perfect? Yeah, Chris is going to hate me for that. So my fellow Christians, let me know what the proper saying is here. But he was essentially just living by the book, and that book being the Bible to the best of his abilities. I think there's two sides to it, and I think that I'm glad that we could both agree on that. Political violence has no place in this world. So, that being said,
Well, you are correct. He did encourage younger people to go out and get involved in politics, and that's what Tyler Robinson did.
He didn't get involved in politics.
He
became a murderer. That's two different things. Politics is just the active participation in the governing rules of your country in a public discourse. I don't know if that's the exact information, but if I had to draw one up, that would be it. What he did was criminal. That was a crime, killing somebody. That's not politics. Let's not mix that up. Regardless, it's I don't think that we have any right to say what somebody's death should be. I think it's a little, when you consider Utah, the death penalty is still a thing in Utah. So that's something the governor noted, but we'll see what comes of it. It's still a developing story. But Arthur, we're going to close out. We're going to move on. And yeah, that's the Charlie Kirk situation, guys. Let us know what your thoughts on. Let us know what you think about Arthur said. I'm very interested to see in that as well. Are people right in, celebrating his death? Are people wrong in highlighting his life as much as they are? You let us know what your thoughts are. I'm happy to read them. So till next time, check out eppodcast.store. Turn on the notification bell for many more episodes to come. Thank you again for 1,500 subscribers and many more episodes to come. So till next time.